to the issue of constitutional rights of inmates to vote. And of course, there's no corresponding right to be voted
To be voted for.
Yes.
Of course, JAMB wants to innovate.
It's not Jambo, it's
Sorry,
Prison Correction Authority.
INEC wants to innovate to ensure, make sure that the inmates exercise their constitutional rights. And some people have expressed eyebrow because this is the first time we are having such move in the country.
There has to always be a first time.
So what do you think, do you believe that it's according to law for inmates who are in prison and perhaps who are serving various times to have a right to vote? Because some will argue that if they do not have a right to be voted for, then they shouldn't have a right to vote. So what would you say?
Well, the issue is that those prisoners that are waiting trial are presumed by law, by constitution, to be innocent. So till the court of competent jury has judged them guilty. So if in his wisdom the independent electoral body decides to extend to them the political right to vote, is a decision in the right direction. In other claims, voting is not restricted to only people that are outside, even prisoners, people in hospitals, they vote and so on. And the issue is, do prisoners have rights? The answer is yes. Prisoners have rights. Except for those who are on the death row. Other prisoners, they have right to life and right to dignity of the human person and so on. The fact that somebody is in prison doesn't mean that such a person should be stabbed to death. So the issue of giving them the right to cast their votes is commendable. But then there are issues that need clarification.
All right, before we go to the issue, sorry,
how will it be?
Sorry, before we get to the issue, Barrister Mike,
yes.
Let us get your opinion on this, because it seems like Sobiora has categorized this into two.
Yes.
Those awaiting trial.
Yes.
It presumes that they are still innocent and they have a right to vote, which the Constitution. In fact, those ones even have a right to be voted for.
Of course.
I think that are not.
Of course, those that are waiting.
Yes, those ones have a right to even.
Yes, yes.
They can contest and get a form in their.
Of course, they don't.
Yeah, we are talking of those who have already been convicted. Do they have a right to vote?
I don't think those who have been convicted already have that kind of correspondent right to vote. I don't think so. But everyone that is awaiting the trial of his own case, in fact, he has a right to a bail, depending on the kind of crime that he committed. He has a right to be admitted to bail. If he were to be outside the prison, he would have been able to contest election and be voted for at the same time. But the moment you are convicted, you have some rights that are cut off from you, and then apart from limited rights. But once you are convicted or sentenced to death, those rights are gone. You are just waiting for the day that they will call you to the other side. So, but you see, INEC is not actually trying to do them favor. There was a case, some inmates took INEC to court in 2014. And then in 2019, the decision was made. And the court declared that every inmate, certain categories of inmates, as we have stated, awaiting trial, have right to vote. And as such, they should be given access to the voting booth to vote. And so this decision is what INEC is trying to implement now.
All right. All right. Let me get Barrister Deji's opinion.
Yes.
A different question now. Of course, Barrister Bona seems to suggest that those who are already convicted do not have a right to vote. So is there any law in Nigeria that specifically exclude those who have been convicted from voting? Because from what we can see, Section 77 sub 2 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, there are criteria for you to vote, and said if every citizen of Nigeria who has attained the age of 18 years and residing in Nigeria. So see, that seems to be the law. You are a citizen, and those inmates who have been convicted are still citizens of Nigeria. They have age of 18, and of course, if they are provision for it, they would have registered.
Yes, there is no law that discriminates between prisoners or inmates as to the right to vote, because the right to vote is personal to a person, to a citizen. Once they have attained that age of voting, and just like my good brother have said, the reason why INEC is innovating this particular procedure is the judgment that my good brother spoke about, which was served on INEC, which INEC is trying to implement.
So do you disagree with him that those who have been convicted?
No, obviously, whether convicted or not, you are entitled to vote in prison. Once you are in prison, you are entitled to vote. Imprisonment only deals with your right of movement, okay, and the right to life. That cannot be taken away from you. But the right to movement is, there is a restriction placed on you. That's what imprisonment actually means. It doesn't mean that all your other rights, for instance, can be denied. That's why you find that even in the prison, people are still allowed to be educated, to have some training in the prison, even though they are in prison. And we have also had situations where people who are even in prison have been voted for, and they become governor in this country. We have situations, yes, in Abia State, Theophilus Oji.
Is it those who have been convicted? Or
he was in prison. He was in prison.
Convicted?
No, not yet convicted. Okay. But somebody in prison.
He was in prison.
He was in prison.
Was
voted for.
Yes, but
Omisore was also in prison when he
awaiting trial.
Yes, but the point is this. There are, to me, I think what should be more concerned about is there's nothing wrong if they are voting, but there are complexities to allowing prisoners in Nigeria to vote.
What's that complexity?
Because of is subject to manipulation. There are legality issues. There are logistic issues. The question, for instance, had been asked: would you allow politicians to come and campaign, to go into prison, to campaign to these prisoners?
Why not? If politicians are allowed to campaign to every citizen,
that's a complexity. That's a complexity. Different political parties coming into the prison to exhibit their wares and set posters and call meetings and make their manifestos known and all of that. So that's one aspect of it. The question of whether that is possible.
It is.
All over Nigeria, you are saying it is, but the problem of organizing it and the right of almost about 35 political parties, for instance, having the right and freedom to go into all the prisons in Nigeria to canvass for vote is a complex issue. That's on one side. Then you also discover that even the logistics of ensuring that the voting is done properly and party agents are present when the voting is being done to ensure that proper counting is done in the prison. It's a bit of a complex issue.
It's very complex.
And then also the problem of manipulation of the results, even from the prison.
Even the ones that are not in prison are manipulated.
Yes, how much more the one that is shrouded.
So should we not deny them their right because it is subject to manipulation?
These are complex.
I think that is one of the reasons that INEC is saying that the National Assembly should come up with some laws that would enable them to carry out this particular function. And once there are laws like that, there will be legitimacy for somebody to go into the prison and campaign and do whatever. And then polling booths would be erected in the prison yard for the inmates to vote. And the
proper security also.
Good. And then the election, the people that will conduct the election themselves, the electoral officers, will also be allowed into the. The prison is not an open place that anybody goes in. So that is why some of these security checks must be put in place by law to enable INEC to actually carry out this function.
All right, but Obiora, so of course the prisoners will argue that they are still part of the citizens of this country, and those who are in power also should pretend over their affairs, and they should have a say on who governs their affairs. And as such, they should be able to vote. They should, the politicians should come and give them manifesto as how their administration will cater for their welfare. Right. So of course,
the position is clear that with or without an enabling law, as INEC is calling for. There's actually no need for enabling law. Because the constitution is the ground norm, is the supreme law of the land. And they have said that every Nigerian citizen above 18 years is entitled to vote. So that is clear. Going to get another law somewhere to come and legitimize their right to vote is a surplusage. The only thing is that when it comes to those that are in custody, correctional facilities as they are called, custodial centers as they are called presently, there are classifications. Those that are waiting trial, they have automatic right to vote and be voted for, even whilst in custody. Just like some that are in custody have access to education. I know of someone who has finished his degree while in custody. He finished a 4-year degree.
4-year degree in custody. Do they have a university?
They have the true open university. The young man read criminology and he did very well. He is out now and he's already graduate.
Oh, you read criminology, yeah. So you use the environment as a dissertation work in order to...
Well, I wouldn't know what they wrote, but the point is this. Now, when it comes to those who are already convicted, they don't have right to be voted for, because the stigma of conviction is that your right to be voted for is taken off. But for every other person who is just awaiting trial, presumed innocent by virtue of Section 35 of the 1999 Constitution, they are entitled to vote and be voted for. Now, I wanted to delve into the issue of the modalities of carrying this out. Every coin has two sides. And the positive side of it is that, one, it will give them a sense of belonging, that yes, finally, like in other climes, they have been given their right to decide who governs them in their country.
And then they can decide to vote out government that is not working to their best interest.
That's what
across the federation, because their population is really much.
Yes, again, you discover also that these people are in enclosures. So the issue of ballot snatching will not likely occur there. Nobody will carry ballot boxes inside the prison or control centers and run to where. So the ballot boxes will be safe. And again, the issue of parties going to campaign, it will not pose any unusual problem, because I know that some religious bodies and organizations still go to the prisons to preach, to give them food and welfare and other things, give them courage that their being there is not the end of life. And you see, these things, by the time they are shown that they are part of the society and are given their right to vote and be voted for those that qualify, it will go a long way. And we will be doing what is already happening for decades in other climes and jurisdictions. So it's a good move, and now that it needs to be done is to go back to the drawing board and put these things in proper perspective. I don't believe there's any need for any special law to do that, because the Constitution, which is the overriding law, has already said they are entitled to vote and be voted for those who are not yet convicts. So why do you need to bring another law? Would that law be spirit of the Constitution? The answer is no.
Yes, I want to also say that much as I agree with some of the things that my good friend have said, we should not also dismiss the Nigerian factor. And what do I mean by the Nigerian factor? The X factor. The problem of undue influence and duress by the wardens in ensuring that a particular person is voted for or a particular party is voted for under pressure. That is very, very possible even in this kind of situation, where as a matter of inducement, prisoners are encouraged to support one particular candidate or one particular group of persons for their own interest and with promises of inducement. That will lead to manipulation of the political or the voting and the outcome of that election. Nigeria is such a very transient place that even the things that are happening outside, you cannot verify the processes of the of the election itself, and the authenticity of even some of the results that all of us vote publicly to.
Yeah, but each party is going to have their representatives.
Yes.
Yes, they may have the representative. They will have.
You are talking as if you are speaking
the ones that we are doing
other
outside.
parties don't always have representatives.
The ones that
there are manipulations.
It is the outcome.
This one becomes worse because you are in prison.
You are in prison.
Once you are in prison, whatever they
say you are voted, that's what you are doing.
You want to do it because you feel. In fact, they can even promise you freedom.
Yes.
That once you vote for
anything can be done to manipulate them.
You will go.
But don't lose out of the fact that this is a secret voting.
Yeah.
It's not something you line up for the order to see who are voting.
There's no how you do it. There's no how you do it.
You are talking like this. Have you ever voted during this period to know how secret the voting is? When somebody will vote and be carrying this thing to show this is the person I'm voting for to go and collect money.
Those that have collected money or want to collect money.
Can't they collect money? Can't they circulate money?
The prisoner will not want to collect money. That is even weird. That's even very fertile for them.
No, but
that's even weird.
Some will argue that the prisoners, because of their introspection, they are even more conscientious than those who are outside. They have had cause to repent. And
who is more conscientious?
Those in the prison, the prisoners. They might even take more better decisions than those who are outside. Because I know those who are they have a quiet time where they reflect on their life, and sometimes
you are assuming the decency of those in the prison. Not all the people that are in prison are decent. To the extent of following laws and rules.
Prisoners having the
because we have a population of more than 81,000.
That is what we are told, about 81,000 inmates in Nigeria currently.
Now let's get something.
And that's significant for any election.
The fact that it may be prone to inducement, to manipulation, is not a reason to deny them their political rights.
We understand.
We are not saying they should be
understand.
That is why.
Those of us that are outside, I know some states in Nigeria where the governor of that state gave a marching order to the civil servants: if you don't deliver your word, no work for you. That happened.
Civil servants. How much more prisoners?
Civil servants came, crying that if the community do not vote for the party of the governor, that will be the end of their job. And they work for that governor. So if those that are outside, civil servants for that matter, can be manipulated, then is that a reason for saying let
No. We are not against them. Everybody advocates for their right to vote.
We are saying that let it be done properly.
The transparency of it. The transparency of it.
Everyone should be allowed to exercise his franchise freely, not being manipulated to.
And whether also we can have the men of the fourth estate of the realm in the prison.
Yes,
journalists who will cover what happens there, and then we can be able to even see what is going on in some of those prisons.
Yes.
Because not ordinarily, even outside, when elections are conducted, we can see how people are voting on the network, national network, and all. Can we see that also about the prison?
Of course.
All of that have to be put in place for us to see the transparency.
Will be there, both international and local. Will be there
in all the prisons.
To check and know what is going on.
So the manpower question also is raised. The question of logistics, finance, accessibility of those who are observers.
Because
a lot of complexities
are not done every day. And do you know that some people have argued vehemently that the government has used poverty as a weapon against the citizens.
Very well.
So that because they are in invidious financial position, when it's election time, they offer 10,000, 5,000.
They take it.
They easily sell their votes.
Yeah.
So if that can happen, what everybody is saying that let our electoral system be restructured. Let it be more transparent. Let it be better managed. Let it be properly managed in such a way that every Nigerian and even international observers will come up and say, yes, the election was free and fair.
All right.
That's what we need.
All right, so we agree we are in consensus that the prisoners, both
They
those
have
inmates, have a right to vote.
Yes, yes, they have
And
a right
INEC
to vote.
should work towards ensuring
Yeah,
that there are
yes,
modalities for
yes,
them to
to
be
vote.
included in the
Yes.
voting process. And of
Very
course, I'm
well.
sure the diasporans will also be rooting for
But I don't see
their
this present
inclusion.
INEC capable of doing what,
Of course,
all of this.
inclusion in the
Even
voting bloc,
Nigerians in diaspora should be allowed to vote.
because they are still Nigerians.
They're still
course.
Nigerians.
So,
they should be allowed to vote.
So you bring votes from all over the world.
Yes. To decide, determine. Of course, after the last election, some Nigerians in outside Nigeria were carrying out protests against the outcome of the election.
Yeah, because
I
in the
don't- I
US,
don't-
even their US military, they call what there's something they
We
call
say we are
mailing,
not-
mailing ballot.
We are not that
that
sophisticated. Nigeria is not that sophisticated the way we are all talking about it.
Mailing ballot.
That-
They will hijack the thing on
they
the
will
road.
hijack and manipulate the results and bring ballot paper. We are still contending with the one we are doing here that all of us can see, and it is changed overnight.
You see,
Results are read overnight. How much more the one
my
coming?
challenge is that the present INEC as constituted might not have the political
Yeah, they
will
will.
to change certain things to make sure that these elections that are coming up will be transparent, will be free and fair. That is my challenge.
Yes.
The moment we are targeting some issues that are not relevant,
Yes.
INEC is the most important arm of our electoral process in this country that should be tackled.
Yeah, okay, of
should
course.
be disbundled and
Of
unbundled,
course.
so that once that is done, you have somebody that is an umpire by the
An
word
impartial
and
umpire.
everything. An umpire that will be impartial in all aspects.
Alright.
So
Is
that
it not
anybody
already
that is
out of time?
contesting
Is it not
election,
strange? Is it not strange that we are now getting to know that one of the persons who were at the back end of the previous election that we had is now being made is a card carrying member of the party in government. That is the present chairman of APC, the national chairman.
All right, we are
So
already.
it's we are all in this mess.
We are already out of
it
time.
was in INEC.
We would have hoped to have more time to discuss and deliberate on this topic.